49 years ago, I was asked to go to Memphis, Tennessee to join some folks, as the president had said, who wanted a union. 1,300 men, almost described as President Jeter said, saw their fate tied to their union, except they couldn't have a union because this was Memphis. I'll make a couple of points before I just comment. The signs that were given out that says, "I am a man," was the glue that caused them to fight until they got their union. That sign was printed in the print shop of the minimum salary department of the AME Church, headed up at that time by H. Ralph Jackson of the Cleburne Temple in Memphis, Tennessee. Today, we celebrate the birthday and life work of one of the great men of the 20th century, Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. When the names of great leaders echo across the years, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, Winston Churchill, John F. Kennedy, Mahatma Gandhi, Nelson Mandela. Among those names will be the name of Martin Luther King, Jr. Dr. King is recognized as our greatest leader in the struggle for civil rights and social justice. But equally true and important was his commitment to the struggle for workers' rights. I had the honor and the privilege of playing a role in the struggle in Memphis, Tennessee, and Dr. King's participation in that. Dr. King, as President Jeter said, believed in and fought for the issues that affect the quality of our lives. And we have a moral obligation to continue to fight for those issues. In March of 1968, Dr. King identified with the struggle of these 1,300 sanitation men. Now, I'm not altogether sure everybody understands what it means to be a sanitation man in Memphis, Tennessee in 1968. These were difficult days and times. But Dr. King saw their fundamental right to have a process that gives them an opportunity to have a better life. 1,300 sanitation workers trapped by the systems of the South and trapped by their own personal circumstances. Few of them were educated. Most of them were middle-aged. All of them were black. They reflected the plight of millions of workers relegated to the status of the working poor, people who worked every single day but could not raise themselves out of poverty. Many of them worked for less than $1 an hour. 40% of their families lived below the poverty level. Many of those who worked every single day qualified for welfare, but not a single one of them took it. What they believed, as I believe, that I am entitled to a decent day's pay for a decent day's work. These were men who worked hard. They were robbed of their youth by the work that they did. They were old before their time. They were disrespected, abused, misused, and exploited on a daily basis. They decided, like many others before them, that a union was what they needed, and they were prepared to fight for it and they did. The sanitation workers' struggle of Memphis, Tennessee was not about a nickel more an hour. No, not at all. Their struggle was about respect and dignity and to be treated as a man for the work that they did. You know, those of y'all who ain't from the South know you can go from boy to uncle to grandpa without ever passing the position of man. So the sign that you say there that says, "I am a man," was their statement for the hard work that they did and the lack of respect that they got. Their struggle lasted 67 days. And during that time, Dr. King, as we know, was assassinated. But in memory of him, they did not give up, they did not give out, and they did not give in. They won their struggle, and they won their contract, and they won their union. Life is better. For that community, and it's better for the children of those 1,300 men who struggle. President Barack Obama, about 4 years ago, inducted every single one of them into the Labor Hall of Fame at the Department of Labor here in Washington, D.C. Dr. King's sacrifice and contribution places upon all of us a moral obligation to continue to struggle on behalf of working people. Workers have a right to have a union. That's not debatable or negotiable. We have a right. We have a right to bargain collectively for wages and benefits. It seems to me to be a contradiction in our system if they let and require those who have the least to be unable to have the mechanism that allows them to get better wages and better conditions, and yet those who have the most can get access to the process anytime they want. Now, we have to be clear about what unions are, Ben. You know, we got acronyms, ATU. Doctors got the NMA. You know, lawyers got the ABA. Engineers got the organizations for engineers. All we got is each other. And we have to be clear that together we must struggle together. We must fight together. We must sacrifice together. And we must share each other's needs, hopes, aspirations, and dreams. Dr. King did that for us in Memphis, Tennessee. He made the ultimate sacrifice on behalf of these 1,300 members. And I, for one, will never forget, nor let anybody else forget, that he did it for the least of these. So whenever I'm called or asked to do for ATU or any other organization where workers are trying to exercise their God-given rights to fight for the union, count me in.